All right, I'd like now to entertain a motion to deviate to take up 2012-0339. It's a report, mosquito control from Mr. Pavlovich. So moved by Mr. Taste, seconded by Ms. Scheck-Snyder. I now have to open it up for public hearing to see if anyone objects to the agenda add-on. Seeing no public hearings closed. All right, let's vote on the motion to deviate. Please cast your votes. All right, that is unanimous. Mr. Pavlovich?
Thank you for having me. I'm Steve Pavlovich, the entomologist with Mosquito Control. Mr. Sholey had asked me to address the council and give us an update on what's going on with West Nile, and also I wanted to touch on some of the things that we had done post-Hurricane Isaac. First of all, post-Hurricane Isaac, our crews, our facility was undamaged. We were able to get back to the facility here in Luling the next day on Thursday. Winds were too high to continue activities, but the following day, Friday the 30th, we were able to resume our normal spray operations. At that time, we actually brought in some extra equipment and began canvassing St. Charles Parish. We continued throughout the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and then completed the canvassing of St. Charles Parish on Monday. I'd spoken to the emergency preparedness gentleman and actually organized an aerial spray of both the east and west banks, several areas to be sprayed on Labor Day, Monday, and that took place. After that, we saw a slight peak in the mosquito population, mostly pest mosquitoes as a result of the rains that had come from Isaac. That population has come back down to more normal levels. However, we've still had increased accounts of West Nile, and I'll talk about that here in a second. Our increased operations have continued throughout. We're operating 7 days a week. Spray trucks are continuing to operate Saturdays and Sundays since even before Isaac, due to both increased mosquito numbers, but most specifically West Nile activity in the area has mandated that. And basically I want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening in the country as well as the state and here locally with West Nile. As of last Friday, we are somewhere around 2,800 human cases throughout the nation. Most of these cases reside in Texas. Alone, Texas has 1,219 cases. More than 800 of these cases are in the greater Dallas area. Closer to home, Mississippi also has quite a bit of activity with 169 cases, and here in Louisiana we reported 39 new cases last Friday, which brings the total to 214 cases. One of those 39 new cases was a case here in St. Charles Parish in Luling. A resident here in Luling had acquired the fever portion or type of disease. There are 3 different ways they classify the disease. Neuroinvasive, which is the most extreme, fever, which is a symptomatic disease, but it's not as extreme as the neuroinvasive disease, and then one that's called asymptomatic, which would be normally somebody who's given blood and doesn't show any symptoms or shows very little symptoms, and that it's just a routine medical examination that they find those type of cases in. We have had 10 deaths here in Louisiana, and nationwide the death toll has been increasing, 50 some in Texas. What we do in response to those, we have several surveillance techniques that we put out to determine where there's West Nile activity in the parish and in the region. And 2 ways we do that. One with sentinel chicken flocks. We have 14 sentinel chicken flocks in St. Charles Parish. These birds are bled, small blood samples taken from them once a week. Those are sent off to the LSU Animal Diagnostic Laboratory for testing, and then usually on Friday the state releases both mosquito, bird, and human activity. They let us know if there's been a positive sample from one of our bird blood. In addition to that, we use 3 different types of traps that are put out throughout the parish. 2 to 3 times a week these traps are collected and then also either tested in our own laboratory here in Luling or sent to the LSU Animal Diagnostic Laboratory. So far this year, we've had 10 of the 40 chickens that are out in the parish test positive for West Nile, and we've had 3 mosquito samples that have come back as positive. In comparison to the region, the areas surrounding us, Lafourche, St. John, and Jefferson, it's a little bit lower activity than we've seen in some of those areas. In response to the positives, we institute a protocol, and it's a viral response protocol, and this involves several steps. The first step is to spray the area 3 consecutive evenings, so that area will receive additional spraying with the night trucks. All the drains and ditches in the area will then be sprayed with an additional larvicide. This is all work in addition to what our guys are normally doing. They'll ramp up efforts in that immediate area. We'll do door-to-door pamphlet distribution and door-to-door inspections on those areas that are deemed as having potential for West Nile breeding mosquitoes. And these are areas that are containers, septic situations, a ditch that may have septic effluent running out from the house, or a broken pipe beneath the house. Those types of areas and containers around the yard are going to be the ones that are most predominantly going to have the potential for West Nile mosquitoes. We're not concerned about the mosquitoes that are breeding out in the marsh. Those are more pest nuisance mosquitoes. The ones that are right next to your home are the ones that are going to be most potentially for West Nile. After those efforts are done, we increase our surveillance in that area, once again putting out additional traps and then bringing those samples back to the laboratory here in Luling, testing them to make sure that both the numbers of the mosquitoes are down low below threshold levels that have been set, and that there's no further positive activity before going back to more normal levels. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
Any questions from Mr. Pavlovich? Thank you.
Thank you.